everybody, my name is Rolo and today we're reading some more Reddit stories. So if that's your cup of tea, please do like and subscribe. And let's get into today's first story. Today's first story is from the user LuckyExplorer177 with the title, My boyfriend, 37 male, blames me, 26 female, for being harassed at work. Do I leave him? Okay, so my boyfriend of 9 months and I have just had a big fight, and now I'm home alone and seeking advice from strangers, I guess. I'm going through a bit of an ordeal at work where a male colleague became slightly obsessive with me. It started with me just thinking that he was being nice, but it seems to have accelerated very quickly. We had hardly any contact until he was moved into my team and quickly became friends as he liked a lot of the same things as me, favorite TV shows, musicians, etc. After a few months, I did notice him make some odd comments about my boyfriend, who he's never met but seen on my Insta. Things like, I wouldn't picture you with someone like him, or we'll see how long that lasts, and he's the kind of guy that'll hurt you in the end. I thought he was being very assumptive and didn't think anything of it. Maybe that's my fault. Then, the flirting started. Or what I think he thought was flirting, where he would compliment me in really specific, odd ways, like the way I walked or how nice I smelled. Some of the comments became quite sexual, so I started backing away from him, but as we're in the same team, they continued and just got more bizarre. He compared me to characters in the shows we both watched, but would reference specific sex scenes and how I would do it so much better. Very gross, very inappropriate, I know. But I've never been one to cause a scene or get anyone in trouble, so instead thought I'd just tell him straight that he was making me uncomfortable and he needed to stop. This was yesterday, and he did not take it well, shouting at me in the office that I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about and soon I'd get it. Not sure what he meant by that. He was told to go for a walk and cool off by our team leader. When he returned about 20 minutes later, he immediately apologized and said he had some things going on outside of work and assured me it would never happen again. He even thanked me for raising how I felt and said he'd never do anything to make me uncomfortable again. This morning, I woke up to the longest string of messages I've ever received. It was sent at 1 AM and started by him saying that he was in love with me and we were meant to be together. The messages then ranged from creepy compliments to saying he was going to find out where I live. One part literally reads, I was put on this earth for you and you only. There is no other option. I won't bore anyone with putting in the whole text as this post is already too long, but there are some things that I found very threatening. I called my manager this morning and said I wouldn't be coming into work and that I needed to formally complain about him. She was understanding and we had a long Teams call and started the process with HR, etc. So now, my boyfriend's response. This morning when I showed him the message, he was supportive and insisted I don't go to work and stay at his. He wanted to call off work too and call the police, but I said I just wanted to focus on informing work today, etc. and think about how to proceed. However, when he came back from work today, his attitude seemed to completely change. He said he thought it was fucked up that I didn't go to the police and that he thinks I have feelings for this colleague. When I assured him that is not the case, he told me that guys don't write messages like that if there's nothing behind it, and that I must have been at least leading this guy on for him to end up acting so irrationally. The more I tried to defend myself, the more irate he got, and he started saying that he hated how I acted so innocent all the time, when he knows deep down I'm a whore and that he should have known that I was a low-value woman. He's never ever called me things like that before, and it was so upsetting. Beyond that, he ended up asking me to leave, so now I've had to come back to my flat when I'm feeling pretty vulnerable and a little scared. For context, I got with my boyfriend quite quickly after I moved to the country I'm now living in, so my only friends are his friends. All my family and friends are back in my home country, so nowhere else to go. I really think that what has happened is not my fault, and I'm incredibly disappointed with his reaction. Especially when for the past few weeks, I've told him how uncomfortable this guy has been making me, so he's being kept informed. However, I think it's important to note for context that he was previously cheated on by his ex-fiancée, so I know that any hint of cheating is a big trigger for him, which may explain his reaction. So, do I break up with him? Sorry for the dragged out tale, but wanted people to have all the context. And a bit of a rant, to be honest, as I don't want to tell my family all this. It'll just worry them considering they are so far away. So first and foremost, I think that we should clear the fact that OP does need to go to the police about this co-worker immediately. He is threatening her, and he now is texting her and he's saying he's gonna find where she lives. That is very concerning. A report needs to be made at the minimum so that actions can be taken if he does do anything. Although famously stalking is not taken very seriously, there are still measures in place. She could get a restraining order. It's going through her work already, so that's in process. There are steps that she can take to protect herself, and she should do that. Now for the boyfriend question, straight away what jumped out to me was low value woman. I'm pretty sure those words are usually used in the manosphere red pill communities, which is definitely very concerning. You don't want to be with somebody who views you like red pill men view women. But the fact that his attitude changed so drastically after he came back from work kind of gives me vibes that maybe his work friends, colleagues, or people around him have put those ideas into his head. And then his insecurities from his past relationship have then soaked those up and made it seem like the truth to him. If he has the beliefs of the red pill community, you should leave regardless, but this is worth a talk and just seeing where these thoughts actually came from, why he reacted so aggressively to you, and made you go to a place where you don't feel safe and are in danger. Yeah, this is worth a conversation. Maybe you can save the relationship, probably not. Best of luck to you, OP. And let's jump into the top comment here. A deleted commenter says, please go to the police about your co-worker. I think you are underreacting to the danger he poses to your safety. His obsessive behaviour is really scary and it sounds like it will only escalate. As for your boyfriend, the low value woman comment seems like he has been red-pilled. At the heart of his outbreak is probably fear and concern, but it's really troubling that he is taking it out on you. This might be a time to leave and visit home, but not without first filing a police report. You are definitely in danger and stalkers don't take no lightly. To which OP says, thanks for your advice. I think you're right with the whole red pill thing, and think I know exactly who he must have spoken to yesterday to have come back with that stuff. Just very confusing when he's never indicated thinking that way himself before. I'm going to see if he reaches out to talk, but nothing so far. As for the co-worker, I've stayed home again today, but have an in-person meeting later with my manager and HR as they've opened up an investigation. I've blocked my colleague on everything, which I think some comments said was a bad idea, but I didn't realise. So haven't heard anything from him, but that almost is making me more nervous and paranoid. A work friend is going to come over later to talk about involving the police, etc. Thanks for taking the time to comment, it's really appreciated. OP came in with the update 4 months later. Quite delayed, it's been a journey, but I had some lovely concerned messages, so I wanted to post a quick update. Thank you for everyone's comments and messages. You were all bang on, and I'm so glad to say I am out of this situation. Boyfriend update. He came back apologising, as many of you predicted he would. He confirmed my assumption that he had spoken to a specific friend that day who had gotten him riled up on the idea that it's always the girls who seem innocent that aren't, and that I had clearly been cheating with this co-worker. At first, he did pretty well at apologising and taking accountability on the phone, but when we met up, I could see he was still angry at me for some reason. Turns out, he felt abandoned by me because I wasn't the first to reach out after the fight. That's when I knew it was over and I couldn't forgive him. How he was making this situation about himself still blows my mind. I left him, received some more red-pilled abuse, and have heard nothing since. Good riddance. Stalker update. Things got a little scary. I returned to work while he was suspended under investigation. Only 1 week later, I had gone out for dinner, and when I returned home, he was standing outside my apartment building. It was dark and he was wearing a hoodie, so I didn't realize it was him until I got close enough to see his face. I completely froze, and for a second I stupidly thought he was going to apologize and beg not to get him fired or something. But instead, he said he'd missed me. I have no idea how this man found out where I live, but I think he is very unwell. I backed away into the street, but he grabbed me into a hug or something. Not totally sure of his intentions. Luckily, some passers-by heard me shouting for him to get off and intervened. Forcibly had to get him to let go. He then ran away. I finally went to the police and started the process of getting a restraining order. Even after this, I received sexually explicit emails from weird email addresses and requests from newly made Insta accounts. I have since deleted and remade all accounts. After this experience, I have moved back to my home country. I wish I'd been brave enough to stay, but I was honestly living in fear, not to be dramatic, and just didn't have the support of friends and family that I needed. Anyway, just wanted to thank all you strangers again that made me feel justified in my feelings. I really have learned a valuable lesson to raise the alarm when you feel threatened, and truly hope none of you have to go through this experience. Also, if someone loves you, they should never abandon you in times of crisis. Stay safe out there. It's sad that it took the stalker acting on his threats for OP to actually make the police report, but I'm glad that she did do that in the end. And she made the best choice for her. She dumped her red-pilled boyfriend, and she moved back home to have the support of her family that she needed, and she just didn't feel safe where she was anymore, which is completely understandable. I wish all the best to OP. Thank you for your story. In the comments, Unnecessary C says, "I'm so sorry you encountered such toxic people, felt threatened, abandoned, and terrified. It's awful what they put you through. You are incredibly brave for setting boundaries and sticking to them in such situations. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is that you stood up for yourself and took action. That can be particularly difficult at work and in a romantic relationship where they seem to have been a huge part of every aspect of your life in a new country. Please know you are a strong woman for identifying what you need and what is important to you, then following through with the big life changes to make it happen. I hope you feel loved, safe, and supported." To which OP replies, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. It's been hard to recognize myself as strong when I feel like I ran away, but I really believe it was the best choice for me. And to be honest, I'm just so happy to be home. I hope all the best for you too." And a final comment from OP. "Thank you to everyone for your comments. I've shown my mum and you've all made her cry. This was her first introduction to Reddit, so now she wants to make an account. It's crazy how much comfort all of you have brought me in, feeling justified for leaving. Thank you again, and hope all the best in the world to all of you." I wish all the best to OP too, but let's move on to our next story. Our next story comes from the user Crazy Bitch Tenant with the title, "A friend of mine broke into my house, put her stuff at random places to make it look like she's been a tenant. Cops arrive, finds her stuff all over the place, and so of course they won't remove her. What do I do now? I have a friend who called me last night asking for a place to stay. I politely told her no. She's 25, I'm 19, and I should mention, she's a narcissistic bitch. Today, I was over at my cousin's place this morning, and when I came home a couple of hours ago, I found this bitch inside my house. No signs of a break-in from the outside. I ask her how she got in, and she tells me through the back window. I tell her I never gave you permission to come here and that she needs to leave immediately, and she says, deal with it. I call the cops and tell them that there's a person who got inside my house without my permission and that I need an officer to come and remove her. A couple minutes later, they arrive, and here's what happens. She tells them, I know my rights, officers. I've been a legal tenant in this house for 2 months now, and you can't just remove me. I can go around, show you my clothes in the wardrobe, my toothbrush and my conditioner in the bathroom, and all my other stuff. They take a walk with her and all of her fucking stuff is all over my house. She fucking broke into my house, put her stuff all over so that the cops would think she's been a tenant. The next thing they tell me is that I have to serve her with an eviction notice and that they can't legally remove her since she's considered a tenant. I didn't even know what to tell them as I felt so dumbfounded and shocked I was set up like this. I was silent for a few seconds, and so they tried to explain how the law works to me, but since I just kept looking at them in silence, not believing myself, they just proceeded to leave. I'm so fucking pissed. I'm in California, so I can't even record her confessing to what she's done. If I can do that under an exception, I could easily do it because apparently she has no problem admitting to it when the cops aren't here. I'm not, however, going to do so if it will lead to more problems. I've also thought about calling 911 or the non-emergency line and telling the operator about the situation so that the call would be recorded and then make my friend confess about it. Can I do that? Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. How do I get this bitch out without having to serve her an eviction notice? Isn't that against the law? What she did there? Isn't this fraud? I've thought about trying to prove that she's been living somewhere else before, but I don't know what to do. This is fucked up. I'm really sorry about my language, but I'm really feeling so angry and I'm trying to be calm as much as I can while she's in my fucking house using my stuff and I can't do shit about it. Thanks. So unfortunately for OP, with how prepared this friend was, I mean, climbing in when she knew OP wasn't home, planting her stuff, knowing the laws, knowing that the officers can't take her, this doesn't sound like her first rodeo. Like, she was way too prepared for this to be spontaneous. Unfortunately for OP, if she can't record the friend making a confession, she can't get that confession out of the friend in front of any police officers or anything. The only thing she can do is eviction notice, and then the friend is probably going to move on to the next victim. What a terrible situation. I really hope it works out for OP and they get this horrible person out of their house, because who knows what else she's gonna do. Let's find out what the comments think. The Petman quotes, "Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it would be unlawful," and says, "Yes, because the person being recorded doesn't consent," and quotes again, "How do I get this bitch out without having to serve her an eviction notice?" and says, "If the police won't take action, eviction is all you have." OP responds, "Even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here, so what? Now I can go to any of my friend's house and put my stuff there and basically live for free? If I eventually get a proof she faked this, what can I do at that point?" To which the Patman responds and quotes, "Even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here," and says, "It's difficult to prove a negative, especially given that she didn't have another place to stay. Still, if you believe you have that evidence, you can try the police again. But if the police don't do anything, eviction is your only option." And OP replies again. So basically, anyone can go break in anywhere at a friend's house and this would work? This is ridiculous. The Patman responds one more time. "Tenants are given broad protection against being kicked out. This is a good thing. In your case, you have a situation where someone isn't a tenant but looks exactly like a tenant. That sucks, but it's an edge case, a one-off. It just doesn't happen that often. So yeah, in the extremely rare circumstance that someone breaks into your home with no damage and scatters enough stuff around to look like a tenant, you get a little boned. It sucks, but the worst thing you can do is compound it by trying to kick her out without the eviction." Now on to the top comment from Marzi D, which says, "I am going to go in a completely different direction and suggest you get a protection order. This woman is dangerous and completely out of touch with reality. If I were you, I would be very, very scared. Go down to the court and fill out an order for temporary protection. The form will ask you if you two live in the same home. Say no. Put in her last known address. You should get her ordered to stay away from you, and she will not be able to enter the apartment as it will be breaking the order. If you need to call the police, you can call and tell them you have an order of protection against this person and they will make her leave. You do not want a residence exclusion order, which requires actual violence. You want a stay away order." OP updates the next day. "I texted one of her friends on Instagram who I know is close to her and explained what happened. She gave me her boyfriend's name on Facebook and told me to talk to him, see if he could come over and persuade her to leave. I've reached out to him and we got on the phone a few minutes ago. He said he can come over after work and see what he can do. Is there anything I should do before he comes here? Do I start recording video? Do I call the cops instead? Do I bring in a third witness? I'm really afraid if this ever turns into a domestic violence of some sort, if any of them decide to do anything stupid. Keep in mind, I'm 19 and both of them are well over my age, by a lot. In the comments, IKEA Emotional says, it's time to call in a friend, a close one. I would propose your mum actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical violence desalting effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm. Very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. If all goes well, I would suggest you lock the door behind her, and this time, lock your window. The problem with that, of course, is the cops have already decided she lives there, so if she calls them claiming you locked her out, you're shit out of luck. In these circumstances, it might be worth the risk. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone, or who can say where she lived. Instagrams of her taking pics of her place, Facebook posts where she indicates she lives or implied is not with you, like get can I come over from a few days ago would be great. Once you're done with her, don't ever talk to her again. That's it. This is a new level of crazy and it's going to burn everything it touches. To which OP quotes and responds, it's time to call in a friend, a close one. I would propose your mum actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical violence desalting effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm, very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. And says, I didn't tell my mum about any of this yet because she worries a lot about me and she already has a lot of issues going on, so I didn't want to put any more pressure on her. I think I have to call her now though. I know for sure she'll have my back on this. And quotes again, can you begin accumulating evidence? She did not live there as of yesterday. Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone or who can say where she lived. Instagrams of her taking pics of her place. Facebook posts where she indicates she lives or implied is not with you. And says, when I looked up her Instagram account, I found lots of pictures in Arizona that she was dumb enough to have them tagged with location. The pictures were taken within the last month. I took screenshots as well as archiving them like a web version. I also wrote down a transcript of how the conversation went down when she called me asking to stay at my place and I refused. I've screenshotted the conversation with her friend as well. Gnognit says, why didn't you follow the advice in the previous post and pursue a restraining order? To which OP says, I should have done this but I didn't. Someone mentioned that I should try and contact one of her friends or family and let them try and talk to her, and so that's what I did. I'm hoping it works. If not, I'll go file the restraining order. And now on to the final update, which came 2 days after the original post. First of all, I want to explain what happened, apologize, and thank all of you. Long story short, as soon as her boyfriend came in, she started crying hysterically. I told them that I'm recording them through my phone, but they seemed uninterested in what I said. She started blaming him for all sorts of stuff. He kept apologizing a lot, and after what seemed like an eternity, she packed her stuff and they were both gone. Now I've written down on a piece of paper all your different advice. I'll file a restraining order against her. I'll also go file a police report and talk to the sheriff explaining everything that happened. I've documented all I could. I have screenshots of her IG account and the pictures tagged to Arizona, plus the video of her and her boyfriend arguing in my house and then packing and leaving together. My mum's main concern right now is getting the protective order ASAP and installing an alarm system in my house. She says she'll be staying with me until we can get a company to install an alarm system on Monday. Thank you guys for suggesting to call my mum. It made me feel safer while she was here. Apology. I know how annoying it was for you guys to keep giving me advice that I should file the restraining order and go to the police, only to find me not do any of that, but invite a stranger to my house. My mum also pointed out how badly this could have gone with her boyfriend coming here. OP also tags and quotes what a commenter says, from user Give Her The Works. I've been thinking about this since I read it. Honestly, I hope it's fake. If the cops showed up and this lunatic told them she was a tenant, why would OP not say something like, fine, prove to them you live here, Where's your lease? Where are your keys? Where do you sleep? Show them your license with this address. Show them a piece of your mail addressed here. And says to that comment, I wish you were there with me, man, and pointed these things out. It just took me off guard. I just stood there saying nothing. Anyway, I'm so lucky it didn't go worse. I'm just really relieved this whole thing is off my chest now. I'm truly thankful for each of you. TLDR, she's gone. Yeah, that lunatic being gone is definitely the best update that we could have had, and like OP said, in that moment, she didn't know what to say. She was just shocked with the whole situation. People have a, fight and flight instinct, and I feel like that goes with this kind of situation sometimes. You freeze up, your brain is just empty, you don't know what to say. And everything was happening so quickly that those thoughts just didn't come to OP, which is understandable. Of course, if she could have done all of that, the situation would have been resolved much quicker. She wouldn't have had to put herself in danger by inviting the stranger boyfriend over, which, as OP's mum said, could have gone incredibly badly and went downhill incredibly fast, if he was in on it or something. But yeah, having an alarm system installed, all that good stuff is hopefully going to stop this from happening again to OP, God forbid. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for your story, OP. I wish that this doesn't happen to you again, ever. And thank you for updating us. Anyway, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!